When Nala finally stands before the river, she comes face to face with the woman who has stolen her reflection, a perfect copy of herself, yet twisted and cruel. The air is thick with tension as the woman dares her to fight, warning that reclaiming her reflection will not come without a price. The river churns violently, spirits whispering from the depths, as Nala steps forward, knowing there is no turning back. A battle of wills begins, one that will decide whether she regains her true self or is forever lost to the shadows of the water. But as the struggle unfolds, an eerie truth emerges: what if the reflection does not want to return, and what if the river has its own plans? The village of Dara was a place of many wonders. The river sang in the mornings, the trees whispered secrets to the wind, and the people believed in things that could not always be seen. But among all the mysteries of Dara, none was greater than the woman who had no reflection. It was early morning when Nala returned to Dara after 10 long years. She walked into the village with a woven basket in her hands and a red scarf covering her hair. People stopped what they were doing to watch her. They whispered to one another, their eyes filled with both fear and curiosity. An old woman, Mama Oise, stepped forward. "Nala, is it really you?" Her voice shook. Nala smiled, but it was a tired smile. "Yes, Mama Oise. I have come home." The villagers watched as she walked through the market square, past the well, past the great baobab tree where the elders sat. No one spoke, but everyone remembered. They remembered the last time they saw her, running away in the middle of the night, her mother screaming after her. A little boy, Timo, ran to the river to fetch water. He bent over the water and saw his own reflection staring back at him. But when Nala passed behind him, there was nothing. Her feet disturbed the water, but it showed no image of her face. The boy dropped his calabash in fear and ran back to the village. "Mama! Mama! She has no shadow in the water," he cried. The whispers grew louder. The people gathered. A man named Django, tall and strong, stepped forward. "Is it true? Have you returned without your reflection?" Nala did not answer. Instead, she turned away and walked toward her mother's house. It was the same house she had left so many years ago. The door was slightly open, as if waiting for her. Inside, her mother, Mama Riba, sat by the fire, staring into the flames. She did not look up when Nala entered. "I knew you would come back," she said softly. "I prayed for it." Nala sat beside her, her heart heavy. "Mama, I need your help." Mama Riba sighed. "The spirits have taken your reflection, haven't they?" Nala's hands trembled. "I don't know why. I don't know how to get it back." Mama Riba finally turned to look at her daughter. Her eyes were filled with sorrow. "You must tell me everything, child. Everything you saw, everything you did in those 10 years. Only then can we know what must be done." The fire crackled between them. Outside, the villagers whispered. In the distance, the river seemed to whisper too. And somewhere in the shadows, something watched, waiting for Nala to remember the truth. Nala took a deep breath and began to speak. "I left Dara because I had to. There was something calling me, something in my dreams. Every night, I saw a woman in the water. She had my face, Mama. But she was not me. She called my name, and I followed." Mama Riba's face darkened. "Did you cross the forbidden river?" Nala nodded. "Yes. I crossed it, and I found a village unlike any I had ever seen. The people there did not speak, but they watched me with hollow eyes. And in the center of the village was a great mirror, as tall as a tree. When I looked into it, I did not see myself. I saw her." Mama Riba reached for Nola's hands. "You did not see your own reflection because you left it behind. The woman in the water, the one who took your place, she is still waiting." Nola's throat tightened. "How do I take it back?" Mama Riba closed her eyes. You must return to the river. You must face her. But be warned, child. She has lived as you for 10 years. She will not give up your reflection so easily. The wind howled outside, rattling the door. The villagers still whispered. And deep in the heart of the river, something stirred, waiting for Nola's return. Nola barely slept that night. The shadows on the walls seemed to move when she blinked. The whispering outside never stopped. It was as if the village itself was afraid of what would come next. Before the sun had fully risen, Nala wrapped her red scarf around her shoulders and stepped outside. The morning mist curled around her feet like fingers trying to pull her back. Mama Riba stood waiting at the door. You must go alone, she said. This journey is yours. Nala nodded. She had known this all along. She walked past the silent villagers, past the great baobab tree, and toward the river. With each step, the air grew colder. The trees stood still, their leaves unmoving, as if they, too, were holding their breath. When she reached the river bank, she saw her. The woman in the water. She stood on the surface as if it were solid ground, her red scarf flowing like blood in the current. She had Nola's face, Nola's eyes, but her smile was twisted into something cruel. You have come back, the woman said. Her voice was like an echo, distant and strange. Did you miss me? Nola's hands clenched into fists. You have something that belongs to me. I want it back. The woman tilted her head. You abandoned me. You walked away. And now, after 10 years, you think you can just take it back. Nola took a step forward. I never meant to leave it behind. I didn't know. The woman laughed, the sound like breaking glass. It does not matter. You cannot have it unless you take it. Do you dare fight for it? The river began to churn, dark and wild. The villagers had always said the spirits in the water did not let go of what they claimed. Nala's heart pounded, but she stood her ground. She had no choice. Yes, she whispered. I will fight. The woman in the water grinned. Then let the game begin. The river rose, swallowing them both. Nala gasped as she broke through the surface of the water. The river was calm again, the woman nowhere to be seen. But something felt different. She turned to the water and, for the first time in 10 years, saw her own reflection staring back at her. She had won. But at what cost? As she stepped onto the river bank, the villagers stood at a distance, their faces wary. Mama Riba was the only one who approached her. She cupped Nola's face in her hands, searching her eyes. Are you truly my daughter? Nala swallowed hard. I think so. The villagers murmured. Some bowed their heads in silent prayer, while others still watched with doubt. Jengo spoke. If you have your reflection, prove it. Nala turned to the river, where the water had calmed. She saw herself clearly, her reflection mirroring her every move. A sigh of relief spread through the crowd. Mama Riba embraced her tightly. You are home, my child. And the spirits have released you. But as Nala stood there, staring at her reflection, a flicker of movement caught her eye. Just for a second, in the depths of the water, she thought she saw something else, the shadow of a smile that was not her own. Then, it was gone. The village rejoiced, but deep in Nola's heart, she knew the river never truly let go.